He was 12, hungry, and tired of being invisible, when Ethan Brooks, a poor black boy living with his grandmother, approached one of the richest women in the city with an offer to heal her in exchange for her table scraps. She laughed in his face. To her, it was a joke, another reason to mock a child who had nothing. But Ethan wasn't lying, and what he would uncover about this so-called disabled millionaire would shake the entire city, destroy reputations, and expose crimes buried for years. Ethan Brooks had learned early that life didn't hand out kindness freely. At 12 years old, he shared a tiny, weather-worn house with his grandmother Martha, who stretched every dollar until it tore. Meals were simple, sometimes too simple, and Ethan often went to bed with his stomach still aching. But he was no ordinary kid. His grandmother had passed down generations of healing knowledge. Herbs, pressure points, remedies that had helped neighbors for decades when doctors turned them away. Every morning before school, Ethan would help Martha tend to the small garden out back, their lifeline for food and medicine. It was a quiet, predictable life, but it was also a life on the margins, unseen by the wealthy people whose mansions towered just a few miles away. That world, with its marble halls and polished floors, wasn't meant for someone like him. At least, that's what everyone believed, until the day Ethan decided to walk straight into it. Because somewhere in that world was Isabella Harrington, a millionaire bound to a wheelchair, who thought she had nothing to learn from a poor black boy. She was wrong. Ethan had heard whispers about Isabella Harrington for years. People spoke of her fortune, her mansion, her charity galas. They also spoke of her cruelty, the way she dismissed waiters, the sharp words she used with her staff, the icy glare she gave anyone who didn't meet her standards. To Ethan, she was just a name, until the day he saw her being wheeled out of an upscale restaurant, leaving behind plates piled with untouched food. That's when the idea hit him. Not just to ask for her leftovers, but to make her an offer no one would expect from a boy in ragged clothes. "I'll heal you." He walked up, heart pounding, clutching the courage only hunger could summon. She looked at him like he was something she'd stepped in. The smirk came first, then the laughter. Sharp, loud, designed to humiliate. Her friends joined in, their expensive jewelry catching the sunlight as they shook their heads at the audacity of a poor black boy daring to speak to her. But Ethan didn't back down. "I can help you walk again," he repeated, voice steady. She waved him off, calling him delusional and desperate. Security moved in, rough hands gripping his shoulders, shoving him away from the table. That could have been the end of it. But Ethan had seen something, a flicker in her eyes when he'd mentioned walking. Not fear, recognition. He'd been taught to read people, to notice what others missed. And something about Isabella Harrington didn't add up. Over the next few weeks, he found ways to linger near her mansion. Deliveries, charity events, even sneaking in through the servants' entrance when the opportunity came. What he saw confirmed his suspicion. She could move her legs. Not much, but enough to prove she wasn't fully paralyzed. The deeper he dug, the stranger it became. Old newspapers hinted at the sudden, mysterious death of her husband, Gregory Harrington. Medical reports showed inconsistencies, injuries that didn't match her story, insurance payouts in the millions. Every discovery was a thread, and Ethan was pulling them all. But the more he uncovered, the more dangerous it became. Martha warned him to stop, afraid of what a woman with Isabella's money and influence could do. But Ethan couldn't unsee the truth. One evening, hiding in the shadow of her garden, he overheard a conversation between Isabella and her lawyer that made his blood run cold. Words like cover-up, doctors paid off, fraud. And then, chillingly, "No one will believe a kid from the slums." Ethan knew she was right, unless he found undeniable proof. Proof that would not only destroy Isabella's false image but could also put his own life in danger. And with every step closer, he realized she already suspected someone was watching her. The night of the charity gala was Ethan's moment. He'd spent weeks collecting evidence. Hidden camera footage of Isabella moving without her wheelchair, forged medical documents, and a secret recording of her confessing to faking her condition. Martha and Dr. Elaine Carter, a retired physician who had once treated Isabella, were by his side. The mansion was glowing with gold light, filled with politicians, celebrities, and the city's elite. Isabella sat in the center of it all, draped in diamonds, accepting praise for her bravery and resilience. Ethan's hands trembled as he approached the stage, his backpack heavy with the truth. When he spoke, the room went silent. His voice, small but steady, cut through the air. "She's not who you think she is," gasped. Laughter from her table. Isabella's eyes narrowed. "Security," she called, but Ethan was faster. Pulling a small projector from his bag, images flashed on the wall. Isabella standing, walking, pacing in her private garden. A signed insurance claim form marked fraudulent. Then came the recording. Her voice, clear as crystal, admitting to faking paralysis and hinting at her husband's murder. Chaos erupted. Guests turned to look at her. Reporters raised their phones. Isabella's face drained of color, but she stood up without realizing, proving everything in one unthinking motion. Security moved toward Ethan, but Martha stepped in front of him, her frail frame unshaken. Dr. Carter addressed the crowd, verifying every piece of evidence. Murmurs turned to shouts. People demanded answers. For years, Isabella had hidden behind wealth, whiteness, and power, untouchable in a city where the poor, especially poor black children, were rarely believed. But here she was, exposed by the very boy she'd mocked. Ethan felt the heat of the moment, the weight of every stare, every phone recording his face. He knew this was bigger than him now, because tonight, the world would finally see who Isabella Harrington really was. By the end of that night, Isabella Harrington's empire had collapsed. Police escorted her out in handcuffs, her face pale under the flashing lights of cameras. Within months, she was convicted not just for fraud, but for her husband's murder. Every asset she owned was seized. A portion of that fortune, by court order, went to create the Martha Brooks Community Center, a place where children like Ethan could eat, learn, and dream without being told their worth was defined by their poverty. Ethan became its youngest mentor, teaching the same healing traditions his grandmother had taught him. But his journey didn't end there. His evidence, determination, and intelligence caught the attention of people far beyond his neighborhood. At just 15, he received an offer no one thought possible: early admission to Harvard Medical School. Yet for Ethan, the victory wasn't about the title or the recognition. It was about proving a truth the world often refuses to see: that brilliance, courage, and the power to change lives can come from anywhere, even the most overlooked streets. This wasn't just one boy exposing one lie. It was a reminder of how prejudice works, how wealth and privilege can shield the guilty, and how poverty can make the innocent invisible. But that night, invisibility wasn't an option. A boy society tried to ignore became the voice that couldn't be silenced. So the question remains: how many more Ethan Brooks are out there? Voices unheard, truths buried, waiting for someone to believe them. What did you think about Ethan's journey? Was justice truly served? If the story moved you, don't forget to hit that like button and share it with someone who needs to hear it. And if you want more powerful stories like this one, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss the truth.